So the cluster that is that. So those guys messaged us like a week ago and were like, hey, we want to get you on the show. We were like, yeah, awesome. Let us know. And they were like, we can do it whenever. And then it kind of just fell by the wayside with other stuff. And then, yeah, dude, I'm turning into Kyle, man. I got the snapback, the bang, the tight jeans. So we set that up. We were supposed to do it no, we weren't supposed to do it tonight. I don't remember anymore. But long story short, we were supposed to do it sometime within the next day or two. But Brandon's computer kind of bit the dust, like the fan, so he's got to get that fixed. So basically got put on hold. In the meantime, I also I'm starting a new podcast that's focused locally here in Beaufort, businesses and people and stuff. It's an idea I've had kicking around for a very long time and finally decided to do it. So I was supposed to record that tonight. My plan was record that from 8 to 9:30 or so, finish that, hop on this, us do our thing. But my buddy that I had planned to be the first episode of that he worked today and he's like, I'm not feeling very good, so let's just do it tomorrow. So I was like, okay. So here we are.
Word up. Glad to see you. Glad to hear you. It's been a hectic week, my friend.
It's been a hectic day, man. It's been crazy. We went to 2 animal shelters we had appointments at, and driving back and forth across town, and all kinds of crazy stuff. So,
but you got him.
We did.
Got him.
He's very shy.
Okay. Well, he'll come around.
But, what is happening?
Show us a picture. Let's see him. I mean, you just got to show the world, show the masses, all 12 of our viewers.
Just show me the message.
Just show it to me. Just show it, please.
Okay, that's awesome news for the magazine. Yay. Let me see.
I just realized I have your shirt on. I have your tattoo on my shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
We're not going to have probably anybody hanging out in here because Phelan's doing his podcast right now. So.
Oh, really?
That's where the party's happening.
That's where the party's happening. And
here's little Archibald.
There he is. Adorable. Look at that family photo. Look at that family photo.
He's slightly mortified of Ellie, but...
You know, I've learned that. A lot of rescue dogs, they get weirded out by little kids. I don't get it.
I think it's just they're not used to being around them. You're used to being around adults.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I always thought maybe it had something to do with them being on, like, their level, you know?
I don't know. And maybe just because kids are just rowdy in general, you know? They're like, why is this one running around me? Why is this one, screaming at me? Why is this one doing all this weird stuff?
Right. Huh. So how can we mess with Joe's podcast while we're live?
I don't know.
I wish we had someone that was in there right now, and like if there was like a group chat, it'd be like, Justin and Phil are live. Everyone go to that one.
I mean, Cox is in there right now.
Oh, is he?
Well, they have Rob Stone on this time too, which is really cool. Like I'm gonna have to watch that one because Rob's a cool guy.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. That's good.
Awesome guy. I want to get him on the podcast again.
Well, I got to be honest. This is why we never do this on Monday nights. But we're well overdue.
We are.
So, Katie had a good Mother's Day.
She did.
Good. What'd you guys do?
We went and had lunch at her mom's house, and then we went to my parents' house and hung out, and went on a bike ride, and
Good.
Just kicked it.
Good.
So let me see. The governor has modified the rules once again. Close contact businesses, gyms, and pools may reopen Monday 18th.
Interesting.
Everyone wants barbershops.
Yep. What's up, Dom?
Oh, wait. Close contact service providers include the following businesses: barbershops, hair salons, wax salons, threading salons, nail salons, spas, body art facilities, tattoo services, tanning salons, massage therapy establishments, and massage services. Good for them.
Good for them.
Very nice. See, I post on Facebook that we're live, and then there's everybody.
There you go.
So, little Archibald had a big day.
Good. Did you get all the puppy accoutrement? The bed, the
toy? We did. And I mean, we knew it would be expensive, and then we went to Petco after we got him, because Petco's on the way out of that part of town.
Right.
The other end of the the opposite end of the county. And so we went into Petco as we were leaving, and he's inside. We don't know if he's a runner yet, and I have the garage open, so I don't want to.
I got you.
I don't know. Well, in time.
Yeah.
I showed the picture. I
like that one you sent me, or you sent the group chat earlier. Him
Dude, he smiles, man. That's why I nicknamed him MC Smiles, because he starts getting like excited, and he just.
That's good. It's adorable.
Trip, man. Yeah, there was another dog that we went to look at that. It was the Hilton Head Humane Society Association, or whatever it's called. And there was one dog in particular that I was really interested in seeing. It was like a pit mix, and his name was Easy. And he's a puppy. Like he was big, but he's still, when that doesn't know how big he is, kind of dumb. Like, play with me.
Yeah.
And the lady was like, when he gets excited, he gets a little mouthy, which automatically made Katie nervous. He was like gnawing on my arm a little bit, but nothing like extreme. It was like just gumming it.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing where he's overly playful and doesn't realize that he's a big lug and
right.
Ellie.
Yeah, I know.
That kind of thing.
Well, I was hoping that would be the one, but Archibald seems very. Ellie calls him a very responsible dog, because he's not a jumper. I mean, when I took him out earlier just before we started, he was kind of jumping up and down a little. He's a little excited, but he's not a jumper. When I walked him around, he's on heartworm medication still, and apparently you're not supposed, because of the way that stuff works, you're not supposed to take him on long walks until that's like that treatment is done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just took him around through the backyard. There's a little trail, maybe like 20 yards, that goes to the street, and then we come back around. I just walked around there, and he walks at your pace. He doesn't really pull. He's just, and I mean, that could change. He could just be like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know where I am. Tomorrow or in a week, he could be a complete terror. We don't know, but
yeah,
he's pretty well behaved right now. He follows me around everywhere now.
Good.
My little furry shadow.
It's cute. He's stupid cute.
Well, we wanted something. We didn't want anything huge. We didn't want anything tiny, because, I mean, Katie will end up probably taking him with her to work a lot of days.
Cool.
Just so he's not home alone all the time.
Yeah.
I would probably take him to work with me every now and then, but he sheds a lot already. We figured that out.
Okay.
And all the smoke and stuff, it's probably not good for him. So.
Yeah, plus you don't know how he's going to be around strangers, and you don't know how much he's going to run out front, So.
He doesn't seem to be like scared of people. He's just very shy. I think he came from an abusive household because when you go to pet him, he like flinches.
Yeah.
So I think he came from whoever the previous piece of shit owner was. You know, someone. I think it's fairly likely that he was abused at one point. So.
All right, good. Well, he'll be happy with your family, you know.
He will.
He will.
And I want him to lay on the bed with us in case he doesn't.
You know what? It's great until the shedding is terrible. And like, my dog is not a shedding breed. I don't want to say it's hypoallergenic because it's not a shedding breed. And he sheds a little bit. But he's had his accidents. And, you know, he's thrown up in the bed and he's peed in the bed. And when I was... I get
that.
You know, it's not like it's legitimate accidents. It's like a child, you know, shit happens.
Yeah,
I can't get too mad at him. You know what I mean? Like I'm pissed, but I'm not going to take it out on him. You know, he got sick. He threw up in the bed. It's like a kid. What are you going to do? But the worst was when my ex and I first got him. He was the best in my bed, but in her bed, I guess he didn't consider her above him. He considered her his equal. So he would pee in her bed to be like spiteful, and she would lose her mind, bro.
You ain't stealing my man.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Yep. But so what are we smoking tonight?
Dude, I've been on a hardcore CAO kick.
I knew it. I saw the green and yellow, and I knew it.
So I got these. I found these 10-pack samplers on Cigar Bid that I've been getting for like $26.
Nice.
And it comes with 2 Brazilias, 2 MX2, 2 of the Black Mosaic, which is like a Connecticut, and then 2 of this other one. I think it's called the Bengal or something. And I mean, they're for $26, man. Like it's really hard. So I've bought like 2 or 3 of these damn things, man. Like as long as they're still on Cigar Bid, I'm gonna still buy them because I forget how good Brazilias are. It has 2 of the Italias too, which I smoked the Italia for the first time today. I've never had it before, and I mean it wasn't my favorite. Still solid, just wasn't anything life changing. So Brazilias though, man, every time I smoke these, I just forget how freaking good these things are. They're just such a good smoke.
It's good. What's up, Henry?
And then if I end up burning through this one quick, I have a little Charter Oak Maduro.
Nice.
Which I'm not crazy about the Maduro. I love the Connecticut. It's a great, cheap budget cigar. They're fantastic.
Herr Wagner in the house. The Connecticut's the only Charter Oak that I had per your recommendation. I need to try the Maduro.
I've had the Maduro once or twice, and I just remember not being uber impressed with it. So I got a haircut.
Oh, look at you.
It's too hot for long hair.
I am in desperate need of one, and there are
everyone laughed at me, you know, before the COVID stuff. Like, oh, your mom still cuts your hair? Well, who's laughing now? And it was free.
It's good. My mom wants to cut my hair, and I won't let her because if I was just having her like shave my head, like here's a number 2, just go.
Yep, that's what I do. Number 3, number 4.
I'm sure it'd be all right, but I don't want to do that right now.
It feels so good, dude.
Yeah, I can
so
imagine.
Much more airflow up there.
I got shit coming out the sides. Look at this.
I know, dude. You got that Danny McBride thing going on.
Oh God, Jufro from hell. Oh.
Have you ever like buzzed? You had yours buzzed way back when. I remember the old pictures of you.
Yeah. I shaved my head probably with like a 0 or like a numbered 1 from like from like senior year in high school all the way up till I was like maybe 22 or 23. And then I went full bicked it bald. And like, it was bad because I was only like 22 years old. There was no reason for that. And like my family got on me and they were like, you're going to regret doing that. And one day you're not going to have hair and you're going to be sad. Just enjoy your hair. And I was like, all right. So like I let it go a little bit, you know, and now I keep it fairly neat. But this is like a long spin since I was
laughed at them until like, have you seen how hairy I am? Believe me, I'm not going bald. Same with me. Like my dad's side of the family, male pattern baldness does not exist in that gene pool at
Really?
all.
It was good. That's good.
But that's like what I've always done since I was probably in the 5th or 6th grade. Like, buzz my hair, let it grow out over the course of like 4 months, 6 months, buzz it all off again, grow it out, buzz it all off, grow it out. And I mean, and that's literally like the only 2 hairstyles I've really ever had, just because, like why not? If I'm comfortable when it's like this, it feels good, especially in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. One day I'll go to a barber. One day.
One day.
I just don't know. I don't know what other styles work for me, but I've also never been to a barber to find out.
That's true. I love going to the barber because I like the full treatment. I like the attention to detail on the sides and the clippers, and I like it when he takes care of my beard and like trims my beard up and levels out the mustache and blah 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 blah.
Barbers are overrated. Thank you, Sean.
But I enjoy it. The problem is I want to go to, not to sound prejudiced or anything, but I want to go to like the hip hop barber that like you see like that artistry barber shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The problem is the one time I went, they gave me like the full tape job, and it was just not for me. It just wasn't for me. But I like the attention to detail. Got to figure out.
That's kind of the nice thing about all the barbershops here is they deal with Marines, so it doesn't really matter what color or what sort of kind of hair you have. It's like curly or like long and like Chicago in their heyday sort of deal, like mine.
Yeah.
They do it all. So
it's good. It's good.
Sean said you'd like to be pampered.
I do.
I can see Phil just rolling up to the barbershop, being like throwing a 50 at him, hit me with the full full package.
I am a bougie little bitch. I am. I mean, call a spade a spade. I am a bougie little bitch. I like my quality.
So you want to know what's crazy?
Talk to me.
On our way out to Bluffton today, I had a girl who lives up in Charleston who was gonna buy a condo from me, but
you've been talking about this girl for a while, right?
Yeah. Well, long story short, she passed on the condo because of all the COVID stuff. That's cool because I had some other guy who wanted it, so he got it. Well, she messaged me today, and she's like, "Hey, my friend took in this green tree." Let me find it. She said, "I'd love your opinion on something. Someone I graduated with, quote unquote, rescued a green tree, but doesn't have any interest in it because it's quote unquote mean. He says it's eating and shedding, but it looks awful rough. I was going to see what you thought." And let's see. I don't know how to make it change. She thinks that she was like, "Is that thin?" Yeah, she's asking, "Is he skinny?" I was like, "Hell no, that thing's like exactly where it needs to be." She said, "So would you jump on it? The guy is only asking $100 to recoup what he spent, and that's for the whole thing, setup and green tree and everything."
Okay.
Like, absolutely. She thinks she thought it was a Biak. I was like, "Bro, I'm pretty sure that's a Wamina, just from sort of the overall patterning and the look of it."
Right.
I was like, it's probably a cross, but you see a lot of Waminas and they have sort of that frosted blue.
Yeah. What about
the red eyes?
Yeah.
From what I can tell, it has the barring, which is something that's indicative of sort of those highland localities.
Right.
So I told her, I was like, it's likely a mix. You'll never know of what unless you have background information, but it's definitely not just a Biak from what I can see. I'd jump on it. I was like, if it's eating and everything, I'd be all over it.
I'll be honest, even if it's not eating, if I was you and
right, and I told her that too. I was like, even if it was just like a run-of-the-mill Biak, I'd still be all over it.
Yeah.
So,
my employer always says it's like a limp dick. You can't beat it.
Well, then she asked me if I knew someone who was a breeder, one of the breeders out in Texas. She was like, do you know them? I was like, yeah, I know of them. She was like, oh, because they tried to buy it from me. I was like, if you show that to people, you're gonna have a ton of people try and buy it from you for next to nothing because you don't know any better.
Right.
Hold on to it. It's a really nice chondro. It'll probably end up looking like a really good adult. Hold on to it. Don't sell it. That's going to be better than what you were probably going to get from me anyways, as far as phenotype.
Right.
So I was like, whatever they tell you, like clearly if they're all sending you offers to buy it, you have something, So I was like, don't sell it. Like $100 is nice. It's a nice looking snake. It'll be a really good looking adult as it goes, just from what I can see.
Yep.
Keep it. Don't get rid of it.
Yep.
But if you ever do want to get rid of it, let me know.
So I made a conscious.
I don't see that being the case.
You never know. You never know. She may get it and it be tip top, but she is unfamiliar with it and overthinks it. And all of a sudden she realizes that it's not shedding well, it's not drinking, it's not pooping, it's not eating. And she says, listen, why don't you just give me what I paid for it? And all of a sudden now you got a crazy new whatever, You never know.
I told her what adjustments she should make to the setup because he's got some of those spring bamboo fluker purchase things, which anytime I see those with green trees, I'm like, oh my God. There's no green tree on this planet, doesn't matter how big it is, that I would give those to.
Right.
Like, give it thin perches. They love, like, if the perches were non-existent, they would prefer that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if they were hair thin where you couldn't even see them, they could float on air, they'd use that. The thinner, the better. They love them thin. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
What size they are. They'll use the freaking light cord in the cage half the time before they'll use the half-inch PVC.
I've seen that way too many times.
If they're comfortable, whatever. I don't care.
Until they get a little shock out of it. One time I had a friend who had a Biak that ripped it was a vision cage, right? It was like a TV vision, and there was a fluorescent strip light on the inside of the vision that they screwed into the top of it, and then they ran the cord along the top and had it come out a hole in the back. And it pulled that wire down and was dead from it, right? Well, I guess from it coming down and going up and coming down and going up and coming down and going up, it stressed the cord. So the wires came out a little bit, and when he misted the cage down, he got a little shock. And he said you watched that snake quiver, and then you watched it just go and go floppy and just fall off the thing, and was like, what just happened? Whoa. And was like sitting there looking around. So I was like, you need to get that out. That's hard
to restart.
Yeah, exactly.
That hat's really tight, as you can tell. I'm trying to wear it so it loosens up a little bit. It's a little snug.
You gotta stretch it over a basketball or something.
I don't have a basketball.
A basketball would probably be too big anyway.
I don't know. My head. You and I both know my head is pretty damn big.
I'm a size 8, man. Can't find hats big enough, especially with the fucking hair. Oof.
Yeah, that's why I also cut mine. I was like, finally a hat that semi fits.
Yep.
Let me get rid of all the space I can to make it fit better.
Yep.
Yeah,
with the dad hat because there's so much hair under your hair. Ugh.
Dom, that is the nice thing about green trees. When they get out, you usually don't have to look very far to find them.
That is true.
And they're usually up somewhere.
Your snake shouldn't be getting out, Dom. So I made a conscious commitment that I'm going to hold on to. I made a Instagram friend named Kyle. Some of you may know him as the Clob King.
Yeah, he followed either the podcast or the magazine, one of the two.
Yep, like a day or two ago?
Yeah.
Yep, that's because I messaged him with some questions about his rattlesnakes. He lives in West Texas, and he exclusively keeps rattlesnakes. That's the only thing he keeps. And he breeds them, and he's a huge field herper. And the dude seems to be a wealth of knowledge. He sent me videos of all the different grains and powdered supplements and varied diet that he gives his rodents And if he can, he'll try and field collect rodents from the area as well as lizards from the area. Obviously, he freezes the lizards because of parasites and stuff. And then he gives them all of his rattlesnakes a varied diet of different mice and lizards, which I think is brilliant. But he has a 3-year-old female Franklin Mountain locality clobber, which is what I need to pair with my male that I've had for like 10 years. And actually, here's a photo. And I told him, I was like, listen, he had messaged me before COVID and was like, hey, if you want to get this thing out, we got to get it out now because COVID's going to shut down shipping and make things crazy. So I told him, I was like, that's the female. So I told him, I was like, listen, if that female's still available, I would love to get her. Just whenever you feel that it's right to ship, let me know and I'll pay you. So hopefully I'll be getting her. And I've been waiting for a snake like that for a really, really long time.
Yeah, I know.
But the dude is amazing on his. I'm gonna stop this for a second. The dude is amazing on his setups. I need to pick his brain more about these setups. I'm gonna throw this up there because I don't know how often he changes the stuff, but he does arid bioactive, and I know he has some isopod type stuff in there, but I don't think he has many simply because it's arid and that stuff's all tropical and it dies. But
well, there's one species that apparently is more of an arid variety, but oh my god.
But like, I'm sorry, but that's what I want in my home. Like, actually, let me zoom in because it's kind of crappy. Whoop.
Titties.
Was there? I didn't see any.
No, there wasn't.
But like, that's what I want in my enclosures. Like, I want the grass, I want the rocks and the sand, and it just looks impressive, you know. And then
oh, natural.
All natural. And then he sent me these two. So that's another banded, and I got to be honest, I think that's like a 20-gallon tall, and he just has a bunch of substrate and grasses in there. But like, that's the perfect setup for that animal, and it actually kind of makes me feel good because that's kind of how I have mine set up, just not as much naturalistic stuff.
Right.
But like, that's awesome. And then he sent me this, and like, he's got live grasshoppers.
What is that? A tigress?
I think it is. Yeah. He has a big enclosure. He has a big enclosure with his ridge nose. He's got like a pair of ridge nose in there.
Oh yeah.
And he has like grasshoppers and grassland insects and stuff. Awesome stuff. Awesome. So that's my my hopes, you know.
Very nice.
But yeah, I got to pick his brain more. He sent me a video of some of like the grains that he does for the mice and stuff, and like I know a lot of people that like Cody and Pia take great care of their rodents, but I don't know anybody that does a varied diet for their varied diet. You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's it sucks because that was something I really wanted to have Forrest on. THP was Abronia and feeder nutrition, because I feel like that's something that's not thought about a whole lot. Like, you are what you eat, and so are your animals.
Right.
And if your animals are getting fed Old Roy dog food, probably not going to do good things for them long term.
Right.
Obviously that poor nutrition is sort of diluted down in a sense, but that's something I've always been curious about. Because I also hear, you don't want to feed them Old Roy, but you also, like, I've heard things about lab diets also not necessarily being ideal because they're almost,
I thought labs just give them like rodent block.
Right.
Yeah.
But, even a lab diet is meant to get them up to size so they can produce more and more and more. And, it's not necessarily natural either. So something interesting to think about, whether there's a right or wrong answer. Who knows? I'm sure somebody does, but it's interesting to think about.
I love arid setups. I love desert stuff. And I realize that although most of my animals are tropical, I prefer the arid landscape. But it's,
well, I feel like those are almost harder to do than tropical setups. You know,
so
that's harder to manage. Yeah.
It is. And then like that's my whole thing is like he has those grassland enclosures, right? Or like those arid stepland enclosures. Like I want to know, and I'm sure I'm going to ask him. We're going to have more conversations as time goes on, but I want to know like how often does he replant that grass? Like did he grow that from seed, or did he, harvest a lump of rooted grass and replant it in his tank? What lights does he use? Because like he sent me a couple pictures of some more clobberi and some lepidus and stuff that it looks like he just has heat lamps on them. So I'm wondering if like the grass dies and it just stays good and dead, because there's no real rain weathering it down. There's no grassland animals eating it. There's no insects eating it. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering.
Well, I also wonder if it starts to die off, if he just like gives it sort of a rain period, and that's sort of what brings it back to life. But after seeing his when he followed one of the accounts on Instagram the other day, I was like, dude, he's got to come on THP or even on this, and sort of talk about it more, because I love the clobberi stuff. I really love Mitchell-I as well. So
yeah, and that when he sent me those photos, because like he had posted some, because he field herbs all the time, and obviously Franklin Mountain's my favorite fucking locality of any rattlesnake, hands down. But I mean, I love my Florida stuff, and Mitchell-I is awesome. The Pyrus is awesome. Blacks are awesome. But, dude, nothing beats the Franklin Mountain clobberi. And, like, the fact that I have one upstairs makes me so happy every time I see his stupid butt. And talking to him and watching him hike the mountain, like the mountain, and, like, catch them, I'm like, this is so cool. And we got to talking. He started sending me these photos. I'm like, dude, this guy is dialed in. Like straight to 11, dialed in. And that's why I sent him the magazine page and the podcast page, because I was like, he's going to start looking, he's going to start following, and I'll play my little puppet strings and get him on there.
Man, there was a really smoking pair of Bairds on Fauna, and Lon Dexler bottom, damn it. Not that I was going to get them anyways, but
I know you were looking.
Anytime I see someone else buying Bairds, I'm like, what are you doing? Don't touch that. Get away.
They're my specimens. So I set up all of the 3 new pygmies, and one of them ate like a champion. The other one I haven't fed yet, and the other one killed its food and buried it in the sand.
Nice.
I thought was very interesting, because it wasn't like it just kind of went over the dead prey item and smushed it in. No, like it buried it. So I don't know if that was like it got scared and whipped its tail or something, or this is some kind of new thing we've never known about. But I've never seen a rattlesnake bury its prey before. Which I thought
proper burial. We knew him well.
And it stunk to high hell because it was liquefied from the venom.
Yep. Mouse soup.
That's it.
That corn that I acquired recently, he's a freaking beast when it comes to food, man.
Nice, good.
I put some Panicure in him last night.
Just straight oral or in the food?
I injected into the mice.
Good.
I did like a half a cc of it. What?
You got 2 corns, right?
I've got
no, the ones you just got. I'm saying. The corn that you're speaking of that you just got, there was another the same time, right?
There was another one a couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
So I've got 4. 3 of them. Okay, So I've got 4. One of them came from across town. My cousin's kid brought it to me when it was like fresh out of the egg, like tiny.
Nice.
I've had that for a year and a half now. The other 3 came from the island I live on here. 2 of them came from my parents' property. The other one came from their neighbor across the street, his pump house, like 5 years ago. Also, I got that one. It was tiny. And so I've had 2 of them together, that female that I've had for like 5 years. And then not the latest one, but the one before that, I had them together. But I looked at that other one today because I thought it was a male, and I look at it closer, and I'm pretty sure it's a female. So that's why I haven't had any action from those. So
okay.
I'm gonna get this once this what the latest one I'm pretty sure is a male. Of course, I said that last time. Damn moth. Once he,
probes,
I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get some Panicure in him. Make sure he's on the up and up, and I'll put him in with that female. I think, and something will happen. We'll see.
Good. So not to bring up sore topics, but your Bairds that passed away. That was the male to the pair that you got eggs out of?
No. That was one of the neonates.
Oh, okay.
The three neonates I got recently.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm down to one. I lost the other two.
Damn.
They were kind of thin when they came in. I was like, they just need some food, whatever.
Right.
I fed them slightly larger meals than I probably should have. That little male regurged like twice. The other female regurged twice as well, I think. And they just after that they just never.
What,
they never got
a week consecutive gurge?
Yeah.
That's.
And at first I was really worried it was something like serious, like, I don't know, crypto or something. Because I was like, this just ain't normal. But
yeah.
I usually, anytime I have a snake regurge, I give it a solid chunk of time off. And that male, anytime I fed him like small pinkies, he ate him and kept him down, no problem. But I could not keep him hydrated. I was pumping Pedialyte in him like nightly.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I don't know, 0.04 mLs or something. Nothing, like maybe a quarter of a cc, but
okay.
That just he wouldn't stay hydrated, so it just I wasn't surprised when I found him rolled the other day. I'm just like, he's been struggle busting ever since.
I got you.
But that third female is freaking rock solid. That thing's a little fatty, man.
Cool.
She's also a spaz. Probably the spazziest Bairds I have. If I open that tub and dump her out of the paper towel tube, she's like a spring, man. She just airborne out of the tub onto the floor. Just
nice.
Hell on wheels. It's so frustrating. I'm like, chill. Like, I'm not going to eat you. It's fine.
It's good. I'm back in the rat snake game. I on one of my pygmy trips most recently, I got an Everglades rat, and it's small, man. It's big enough to eat a normal pinky perfectly fine. So I set him up in a medium deli, but I filled it almost to the brim with Aspen.
Yeah.
And I put a little solo plastic cup for water and a piece of cork, like a little piece of cork. And dude, the thing's a champion. It's not aggressive, doesn't cock back or anything, and just perfectly healthy. So
I'm telling you, dude, you want to put some size on it, start cutting pinkies.
That's what I'm going to do. So this week, I'm actually going to get because I'm feeding so many rat pinks now on stuff. Like finally, stuff is big enough to really eat some rat pinks. So I'm gonna get a bag of frozen rat pinks. I'm gonna get a bag of frozen pinkies because I want to try and go back to the same spot and maybe get a couple more Everglades and just kind of, I don't know, play with some rat snakes for a while. I have a friend out of state who wants to do some horse trading. So for like rat snakes and Florida king snakes and stuff. So tomorrow morning, I'm actually ditching the dog with my parents early because my schedule got changed. And I am headed down to Miami in search of Brooks Kings. Look at you. Mother Nature.
Fly.
Be free.
I saw a picture of someone had like a captive bred or long-term captive yellow rat that was looking really good. I was like, oh, that makes me want to. Me and Jake have talked back and forth for like the last like year and a half about getting our hands on some yellow rats, just as like a little tinker project.
Sure.
And seeing that yellow rat the other day, I was like, oh, that's a nice one. It was like, it looks so good when they shed that like jungle skin, which that corn I was talking about is about to.
Cool.
I'll send you a picture when that's done. But seeing those yellow rats, I'm like, dude, if I ever come across a female that's gravid, I'm gonna hold on to her, let her lay, release her, incubate the eggs, and just see what happens. Just we have so many yellow rats here; it's ridiculous.
I really like that hybrid that Jake put in the group chat. That black rat cross.
I wasn't all that impressed with it.
Dude, that thing
looked so dirty looking.
Dude, it looked awesome, man. It was like if Marvel Venom infected a yellow rat snake. It was awesome.
Well, I was also like half asleep when I was looking at it, I think. So
well, if you got it on the computer,
I don't.
I don't know if I can't get. You know what I'm going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do because I have an iPhone and an iMac. I'm going to upload that shit via the air because this is the 21st century and we can do that.
The future is now.
The future is now. But yeah, Dan, I do keep a handful of non-venomous. And right now I'm actually in a kind of funky transition phase with my snake room. Basically, in the I call it the venomous room. In the venomous room is only one non-venomous snake, and that's my Tannenbar scrub. And basically, what's up, Thomas? Basically, I do that on purpose because I don't want to like use my hand to open a drawer. I don't want to forget which animal's in which cage. And obviously everything is marked, everything is key locked, individual key locks. Everything is marked, danger venomous reptile, blah, 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 blah. But, the point values of what's what. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
I freaking love the golden head on that thing.
I'll pull the real photo up of that thing. Hold on. So
when you posted that earlier, I was like, oh.
Yeah, dude, it took a long time for that animal to look good. I hate to say it like that, but it did because it has real bad shed problems. I've had it for about a year now. I got it from Marcus, and it was a display animal at an educational facility, and it's been through the ringer in terms of climate. Too much humidity, too little humidity, bad airflow, good airflow. But so anyway, so back to what I was telling Dan. So I do have. There you go. Throw that up if you want. I have my poor man's rack full of my carpets. They were basically downstairs for quarantine, and I wanted to bring them upstairs and put them in the room, but I'm kind of hesitant because of that whole keeping it safe thing. But at the same time, I overthink it. So like, I know I'm not going to do anything stupid, but still try and be proactive about it, if that makes any sense. But yeah, man, that snake is stellar. I was trying to breed it with a local Broward County cottonmouth that I got, and after about a year of them living together, I realized that they're both boys. So I pulled a Justin.
Nice.
Yeah. But dude, it took a long time for that snake's head to get yellow like that. That snake's head was brown for I don't know how long. So I put him in it's actually in a CB70 tub right now, and I just have been keeping it more wet than I probably should. And that shed was from probably the day before. I hadn't looked at him in a day or two, and it was almost all gone. He just has a little on his neck, and that's it.
That'd be so cool if that was if you could find a way to make that like an inheritable trait and have like golden heads like that. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
You could make it even more pronounced.
So that snake actually came from. So I had a friend who had a small ranch in central Georgia, and that's actually where that animal came from. And he field collected it, and then when he moved to Florida, he brought it with him, and then Marcus wound up getting it from him, and then we used it for the educational facility, and then I wound up getting it at Marcus. So, yeah.
Sweet.
I actually thought that Cox would like that snake because it has that total Sulawesi yellow head, him and those yellow heads.
Henry, where's my King Cobra article, dude?
Oh, Henry's going through some problems right now, man. Henry's been having a bit of bad luck this weekend. His chest freezer died.
Oh.
And Henry has probably 100 pounds worth of frozen snakes in it, of all varying sizes. And I think, not to throw Henry under the bus, but I think Henry may have busted a coil. Yeah. So now he has to find a new chest freezer in COVID times. But I found I know the Home Depot by me had a couple that were reasonably priced, so I sent him to that direction because he lives about 30 minutes south of me. So,
What are you smoking?
I am smoking the
King is
Caldwell.
dead.
The King is dead.
The original, not that AJ Fernandez garbage.
No, yeah, this is the what they call the premiere.
I was joking about that the other day. I was like, "Hey, you want to ruin a blend? Put AJ's name on it, or put it in his hands and say, "Hey, AJ, make your own version of this." He will ruin it.
Yeah. So
those are special, dude. Those have that Negrito wrapper on them that no one does anything with.
And it is fucking delectable.
They're odd, man. It's got like a slight, like, sort of bitterness to it. That's just enough to be good. It's not overpowering.
Yeah.
It's just kind of there in the background.
I've been taking my time with this one because I wanted to get it hot quick, and then I wanted it to slow down for the middle because this thing is just tits on in the middle. Pardon my French.
Most of Caldwell's stuff's pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's that AJ Fernandez limited crap.
Right.
I was like, oh, sweet, this should be good. And I smoked it, and I was like, what the hell did he do to this? This was a perfectly fine blend. He didn't need to get his overpowering dick beaters on it and change it.
Well, it's such a vulgar word. I love it. Oh, man.
If it's AJ's name and it's for another company, guarantee you, if it was a blend that was good before, it ain't good now. If I see his name on stuff now, I just go the other way. I'm like, God, just not a fan.
I'm gonna get that yellow rat picture.
That Enclave Maduro is really good, but other than that,
when did Jake send that? This morning or yesterday?
I don't even remember. It had to be this morning, I think.
Was it, dude? Because this chat,
was it in Facebook or was it on Instagram?
It was Instagram.
I don't think it was. I think it was Facebook, bro.
Was it?
Because I just looked through earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's Facebook.
Because I was like, I couldn't remember when it was posted either. Now I can't even find it.
I'm gonna find it right now. It's got to be Facebook.
It's a sign that we just have two. No, it wasn't. What the hell?
No, if Facebook was him sending a picture of the Texas
Indigo, yeah,
Texas Indigo eating an Aatrox. No, it definitely wasn't Facebook. It was Instagram.
I didn't see it.
Maybe I passed it. I wish is there a way on Instagram? Oh, there is a way I can look at all the photos. See all shared photos. There it is. I got it.
How far back was it?
It wasn't far. I can't save them from.
Oh my God.
What the hell? Oh, save.
I don't see it. Oh man, I want some of these Artenia.
Let me save one of the three. Oh, there we go. Hold on.
I love these things because they look like an industrial version of the Vitatis. Like the little legs look like little galaxies, and instead of the orange lines, they're like an acid green. I want some of those. So I'm supposed to trade that guy for some at some point, and that hasn't happened yet.
Dude, that one I sent the group chat earlier with the little tadpole in the back was.
Dude, yeah, those Matechos are freaking sweet. Those are big tanks too. That's like one of the bigger varieties. if I'm not mistaken. They're pretty hefty.
So I saved that picture. Did it come through? It did. It did come through. Why did this not? There we go. Wait. No, wait. Oh. All right. Oh,
I swear to God, we know what we're doing.
Dom just texted me, and I'm going to call her out on it because it's hilarious. Dom says that listening to you and Justin try to do anything technical is like trying to teach Facebook to my grandma.
That's fair.
It's fair. I'll take it. I'll accept it. So here's that black rat hybrid. Boom. I think
Ugly.
it is awesome looking.
No.
Look at that. Dude, look at that animal. Look at the big derpy eyes. Dude, I love it. And look at like the contrast here. I'm sure if that thing.
That's the only part that has contrast.
Dude, look at this marbling in here. Like this is just bad shed. This is bad shed right here. But dude, look at this marbling. This is like a fine piece of beef, bro. Look at this. And he's got the cute little derpy head. I think it's great, man. I think if that snake shed out once or twice and got some of the, South Carolina muck off him, that thing would look stellar.
Meh. Pass.
Well, you're a poop face.
So I don't know, the whole certification thing we were talking about, is that something you want to talk about now, or you want to wait until Brent's?
We can talk about it now. We can revisit it.
I am curious. I do. He said he was down, so we just gotta, when the schedule's not so squirrely and we actually know when we're doing this.
Yeah, we can. It's up to you. I mean, I can touch base on it now.
No, I'm curious. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
My opinion not going to change. So first of all, I will start off by saying that I've met him before briefly. I think he's a fantastic guy. He is a wealth of knowledge. He is a marketing and networking genius. And he is what I would consider an actual entrepreneur as well as a educational entrepreneur for, his ability to have the ability to spread knowledge makes him amazing. I commend him for saying that who is he or who is anyone to tell me what I can and cannot have. I commend him for that. That's very respectful. And I don't disagree with his certification. However, I feel it is very much a case of give an inch, take a mile. And although the structured licensing system for Florida, although works very well, the point of it is not to weed out the riffraff. The point of it is to make it so hard that no one does it, because the state doesn't want us to have what we have. The state doesn't want to allow us to do it. But they realize that it is marginally lucrative for them. It allows them to write tickets, it allows them to write citations, it allows them to basically do more police work, which gains revenue and blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, it used to be $5. Then it went to $100. Then it went to $100 and 1,000 hours. And at that point, I said, you know what? That's good. 1,000 hands-on hours would take the average person going to a facility, say twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, for 4 or 5 hours a pop. That would take the average person about 2 years. And it did, because several of my apprentices took about 2.5, maybe even 3 years to do it.
Right.
But then they said, all right, we're going to break it into groups, which makes no sense at all to me. And we're going to make it 1,000 hours per group. Now, there was a rumor floating around that the dumb college undergrad clerk who knows nothing about snakes at all, who was writing the law, added a 0 in accident. And when the commissioner saw it, said, oh, it was only supposed to be 100, but you know what? Fuck it, make it 1,000 per group.
Yeah, no one's going to actually do this.
Right.
Right.
That's a rumor. I believe that rumor to be true. I believe that it was a typo, it was a clerical error, and they just went along with it because they figured, oh, fuck it. I'm a big proprietor of, if the state, regardless of what state it is, if the state wants to do something, they're going to do it, whether or not you have a vote. Certain things you have to vote on. For example, anything that infringes with a amendment or a right, they have to do a vote on that. But something that is a privilege, like keeping snakes, they're going to do whatever they want regardless. They don't have to have a vote. So I actually had a lawyer friend tell me a long time ago that whenever you have an amendment that is up for vote, you either don't vote on it at all or you vote no. And the reason why is because even if you believe that that amendment is the right way to go about it, is the right thing to do, it takes 15 to 18 years to undo an amendment. However, if you voted no on it or you didn't vote at all and it didn't pass, well, then you're no worse than you were the day before, opposed to something that goes bad. And now it takes 18 years and millions of dollars to undo, if it ever gets undone. So to me, I agree with him. A tiered system would be a better system. You want to work with cottonmouths and copperhead? Sure. Bang out 100 hours, have fun with it. You want to work with black mambas? You need 1,000 hours or 1,500 hours or whatever it may be. But here's the problem. Who gets to say what's in what tier?
Jerry went up and he heard your voice and he got up. Hello.
What's up, beautiful?
How you doing?
Happy Mom's Day, belated.
Thank you. I got the flowers you sent.
I'm so happy. I was really hoping he would show you that.
Yeah. Well, I made him.
Good.
How do you comment on here? Why can't I ever comment? I got shit to talk.
I don't know.
So what I was saying was that
so rudely interrupted.
No, it's okay. She can sit and join in. So what I was saying is that I agree with the tiered system. The problem is who gets to pick what's in what tier? Who gets to tell me what is needed for what? And here's the other problem I have with your national certification. So a national certification, a certification of any kind, whether it be city or county or state or region or country, whatever it may be. The problem with the certification of that style is extremely semantic, because now you're telling me that if I don't do it your way, then therefore I won't be certified. Or if I don't do it a particular way, then I won't be certified. And if I don't stick with your mantra, I'm to be taken away that certification. Or if I violate anything in any way that is not befitting of their guidelines and their rules, I'm stripped of my certification, or I'm suspended of my certification. And now I have to pay more money, whether it be monthly or annually or biannually or whatever, to keep my certification. And I don't quite agree with that. And I take that from guns, for example. A lot of people don't like guns. That's not what this topic's about. If you want to be a firearms instructor, back when I was like 21, so say 10, 15 years ago, okay?
Talking about it last week.
You had to have a prerequisite to become an NRA certified instructor. You had to have something to merit you to have the ability to take that class to be certified to teach guns.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was in a police youth program, and I was shooting competitively, and I used that to get into my classes. Now, all it takes is money. You pay for the class, you get certified. Now, an NRA instructor, in my personal opinion, means dick, because everyone and their mother is now all of a sudden an NRA certified instructor. They make the insurance extremely expensive, so you're forced to buy the NRA's insurance. So if I go through State Farm, or if I go through, Bob's insurance company, my, $1 million insurance plan is, say, $1,500. Well, if I go through the NRA, it's like $225. And again, I'm ballparking these numbers here. I'm making this up as I go. So right then and there, does that mean that if you're not an NRA certified instructor, that means that you are incapable of teaching firearms? Technically, in the state's eyes, you are. which I think is horseshit. Because I know a lot of certified instructors that have no idea how to fucking work a shotgun, let alone handle a snake. So now you have powers to be dictating who is quote unquote certified and what is entailed in the certification. And that's my problem, is that when you give the inch, they take the mile.
I can see that side of it.
So Mike puts up a really great thing. Fish and game licenses recognized in other states. So certain, to the best of my knowledge, because I consider myself a hunter, certain states have joint quota permits that are cross boundary. For example, if an area of if an area of BLM land covers 2 states or 3 states, you may get a license or a tag or a permit for that BLM property. And then, oh my God, I crossed the border from one state to another because it was 50 feet over there. My permit's still good. I'm pretty sure if you're a migratory bird hunter and you get the federal migratory bird stamp in Florida, I'm pretty sure, and don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure you can go to Georgia, and as long as you get the appropriate migratory bird hunting license for Georgia, your federal migratory bird stamp is still included. Where's Reed when we need him, right? So that's the other problem too, is that, for example, Georgia, you're only allowed to have native venomous. You're not allowed to have exotic venomous. Well, Florida, you can have exotic venomous or native venomous with a venomous license. Well, the Florida license, although is probably one of the most strict in the country, if not the most strict in the country, is not reciprocal in Georgia in the least capacity whatsoever. So now if I get the certification from, I'm just going to say from Venom Life Gear, just because that's what we're talking about, does that mean that Georgia's going to honor it? Does that mean that now all of a sudden if I move to Georgia and I have my certification through Venom Life Gear, I can all of a sudden have a monocle cobra in Georgia? What does that mean? Are the states going to acknowledge it? Are the states going to accept it? Like
completely contingent on their agreement to validate it.
And again, this is obviously a topic to have. This is obviously a conversation to have with Brent. And like I said, I am not taking away from him at all. I think the dude's fucking awesome in multiple different avenues, multiple different ways. But I will.
Well, I'd imagine that's something they've thought about too. Like, surely this isn't anything they haven't put thought into.
But at the same time, it's still a business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it still is a business to make money. Now, how about this one? Let's say I don't get the certification. I've had a venomous license in Florida for like 12 or 13 years now, probably. No, longer than that. Probably longer than that. I've had it well over a decade. And now let's say Florida next year accepts the certification. Does that mean that I can't keep my animals because I don't have the certification? Am I now obligated to be recertified? Much like what's those food certifications? Was it Safe Serve or whatever?
Yeah.
When you work as a manager in a food restaurant, you have to get that health code certification. You know what I'm talking about? Is it going to be like that? Am I going to have to do that? Because I'm sorry, that Safe Serve is not through the state of Florida. It's not through the state of Mississippi. It's not through the state of Louisiana. That is through the company or corporation that you paid them.
It's kind of ironic because I feel like most of the people that have that certification are the ones that aren't even using it.
Exactly.
Like, they're not cooking anything.
Right. Hey, when my dad and I owned our ice cream shop, I had to get it as the manager of the ice cream shop. I had to get it. I don't know how. I'm not a chef. I'm not a cook. I can't cook. I can whip something up. But if you ask me for specific temperatures that are safe or particular ways to, measure bacterial levels in custard, like, I don't fucking know that, man. I don't.
I saw you make those corn dogs.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Oh man, but so that was my whole thing with the national certification, is that who gets to say what the qualifications are, who is deemed the tier system, and I'm already witnessing a copious amount of people keeping venomous illegally, keeping venomous wrong, and or lying on their paperwork. I mean, shit, I knew a guy who had every single animal license that you could have for Florida. And he secretly was being hunted down by FWC, Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, because all of them were fake. He photoshopped them all. And he kept using aliases and moving from town to town to town where he had illegal crocodilians and he had...
Is that even worth the hassle?
What's that?
So is that even worth the hassle?
Well, he was a dirtbag, so yeah. This is also the same guy that got caught selling gopher tortoises. He got caught selling alligator snapping turtles. So he was a real piece of work. He actually sold a gopher tortoise to an undercover agent in Texas. He took venomous off of a undercover Florida Fish and Wildlife cop. So he was a dirtbag. But regardless, these are the questions that I would have for Brent.
Sounds like a real winner.
The guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, like I said, these are the things that I have for Brent. And then what makes me curious is that I've been mentoring venomous in Florida for over 10 years. Now, am I going to be qualified to be a instructor of this?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to have to pay a due for this? Am I going to have to go through their instructor school and now I have to teach it their way? Or do I teach it the way that I've been teaching it with the 20 years of experience that I've developed? Do I have
in my basement drinking tiny wine?
Yeah, right. Do I get to stick to my personal curriculum that I've found works for me? You see what I'm saying? These are the questions that I have with it. And
the burning questions of
right. And I hate to sound like the glass half empty. I hate to sound like the Debbie Downer.
Well, no, but these are things that probably need to be thought of if it's going to be a reality. Like you have to look at it from the if this actually happens, what's going to be the move on X, Y, and Z's part, for A, B, and C here as far as it's
and now Thomas says something really good. It's crazy that an 18-year-old can walk away with whatever they really want. But at the same time, now you're noticing more restrictions and you're noticing that states are putting their driver's license to 21. New Jersey, I'm pretty sure you have to be 21 to have a driver's license. In Florida, I never had a learner's permit. I had a learner's permit for one day. When I was in high school, all my friends had cars. I was like, I don't need one. It wasn't because I was a millennial. I didn't want to drive. It was because all my friends had cars. I hung out with them. What the hell do I need a car for? And then right before I turned 18, I was like, you know what? I really should get a driver's license. I have to get a permit first. So my birthday was on a Monday. My 18th birthday was on a Monday. I took the permit test online on a Sunday night, passed it, printed it out, went to the DMV the next day, and wham, took my driver's ed test, and I passed, and I got my driver's license. So I have my learner's permit for one day. Now, I have not yet been in a traffic collision. Now, maybe that's because I'm OCD and I'm very situationally aware of my surroundings. I don't know. But now in Florida, you have to have a learner's permit for over 1 year before you can get your license. Now, granted, driving is a privilege. Snakes are a privilege. But you notice these things. Florida passed laws this past year saying that all guns, you must be 21 to purchase them from a store. So now a guy can be 18 years old and fight in the military where he has a belt-fed machine gun and go to war, but he can't buy a .22 squirrel hunting rifle from me because he's not old enough yet? I don't agree with it. And guess what? We didn't vote on it. The state did, because when the state wants to do something, they're going to do it. That's it. So that's what I mean. You give an inch, they take a mile, or you give an inch and they say, guess what? We want it to be 6 inches and we're going to convert it to centimeters and you have no say in it. It's like, well, what the hell?
That was the big concern with the South Carolina regulations we had talked about when that was.
Yeah.
The COVID stuff seems like it put a lot of that on halt because the state had bigger fish to fry now. But that was my big concern was, they say it's for turtles, but that's also a very easy foot in the door for everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Henry puts a good point. Henry says, what about the states that don't want venomous at all? Is it pushed onto them? So if I get a if I'm nationally certified to handle venomous reptiles in the United States, and I go to a state like New Jersey where venomous are banned, is the state of New Jersey going to honor and recognize my certification?
I would assume probably not.
I would assume probably not. There's a going back to guns is because that's what I do for a living, and I know the gun stories. The United States federal gun law states that a black powder firearm that has one shot
Mm-hmm.
and is a black powder firearm using cap and ball, flint, or match ignition, regardless of its capacity to hold ammunition, is not considered a firearm until it is loaded and primed at the same time. And therefore, it is not required to have a background check on said firearm because, let's be real, it's a fucking musket. So if I'm a Civil War reenactor and I buy a new production 2020 Civil War reenactor's musket, I don't have to have a background check because it's a fucking musket, okay? So now the state of New Jersey says that, let me rephrase that. A silencer company out of Utah produced a musket with a built-in silencer.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was a musket, it did not fall under the National Firearms Act, and it did not fall under a normal Title I firearm. And therefore, it could be mailed to your home in the mail with no background check, no nothing. And the state of New Jersey said, no, it's illegal. Why? Why?
Because it's Jersey.
Because it's Jersey. Because it's New Germany. That's why. And that just goes back to what I was saying, is that I am a full proprietor of states' rights. I am really, really big on states' rights. But if the state doesn't want it, the state doesn't want it. You know? So I have questions for
We're all just a bunch of cattle.
Yep. Dan says, my grandmother's license in Florida is good till she's 104. Well, first of all, how old is your grandma? And are we talking about driver's license? That's interesting. What's up, Cox? Sorry to go on like a soapbox there, kids. I didn't mean to get all like political and shit. That was not my intention.
Well, to me, it's not that far-fetched because I feel like I was saying on the podcast with Brent, there are a lot of parallels between venomous ownership and gun ownership.
Yeah.
Very, very similar in terms of, like, if you do what you're supposed to, there's little danger involved. It's when you start cutting corners and not paying attention to what you're doing and doing stupid shit.
Right.
That bad things happen.
Correct.
And people are like, well, they're not anywhere near similar because snakes are sentient beings, they can think, a gun can't. I'm like, okay, but still, if you use a hook and you do everything you're supposed to be doing and you're using tools that are the correct tools, the right length and everything, it is not hard to keep your fingers out of the mouths of these animals.
Yeah. My mom said something. First of all, I'll preface with my mom hates snakes and my mom hates guns. She probably hates guns more than she hates snakes. And she actually she hid a lot of my family's gun history from me as a child because she was anti-gun. My grandfather, her dad, was a machine gun instructor in World War II. And my family goes back like long line of like hunters and military men and shit like that. And
the wolf.
My mom actually told me flat out, she says, you can unload a gun, but you can't unload a snake.
I've heard that before too. And I'm like, yeah, but you can also not point it at your face.
You can
not point it at your hand.
And you can also have a venomoid. She didn't like that answer. And yeah, Thomas, I see what you're saying. I do. And this is all hypothetical. This is all hearsay. And this is something that we're going to have a nice talk about. Not even a debate, because I'm on Brett's side. I really am. I just have questions, and I get a little hesitant or a little paranoid when all of a sudden you're adding more restrictions, whether they be good or bad. You're adding more restrictions. You're adding more restrictions. You're adding more restrictions. And yeah, it's to make money. And yeah, it's to better the industry. And yeah, it's to better science. And yeah, it's to cut back on our image, because our image is horrible. You know, we're all looked at like we're psychos, but you know what? We're not. This is our passion. This is our love. You know, he said it best in the podcast. He's like, you know, how hard is it to explain? It's physically impossible to explain to a non-herper why I keep lethal animals. It's physically impossible. And, you know, this is something I've been trying to figure out my entire life, is how to do it. You know, and how do you, and the only way that I can ever relate to it is you like what you like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. Like, we cannot, you have to look at it from the other side of people that aren't in the hobby. Like, and it's the same for anything, you know, owning tigers, owning bears, owning lions, whatever. People that aren't into it aren't going to get it.
Yeah. It's and I try to relate it to people's collections of their own, whether you have shoes or handbags or cars or motorcycles or whatever.
Yep.
You know, it's relatable. Yeah, but snakes are dangerous. It's like, yes, so is driving a motorcycle without a helmet, but you do it every day. Like,
and I mean, the cars thing is a good parallel too, because it's like, well, not everyone needs a Lamborghini. It's like, but if you like cars and you like exotic cars, it makes sense.
It makes sense.
But people just have to stop assuming. Like, I don't like the idea of, well, just because they're not in it means, you know, they just have to deal with it and understand. It's like, they're not gonna.
No.
You have to understand, this is a brick wall that you ain't getting past, you ain't busting through. A lot of people, they don't want to know about snakes. They don't want to learn about them. What they know, what they were raised is what, you know, that's how they were raised. That opinion ain't changing. They're never going to like them. It doesn't matter how many times you put one in their hand. Doesn't matter how many times you tell them they're not dangerous. People just aren't going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. I mean, I think motorcycles are awesome. I don't know anything about motorcycles. I think they're super cool. I used to watch Superbike, and like I tried to get into it, but I just couldn't. It just wasn't my thing. But like, I think motorcycles are freaking awesome. Where I live, in my densely populated, I call it non-suburban because the cities are all suburban, for lack of a better word. I would never ride a motorcycle, let alone without a helmet. You know, and that's Florida. You don't have to have a helmet at all. And like, I don't understand these people. And like, yeah, accidents happen. That's why they're called accidents. But now you notice that they're not calling them accidents anymore. They're calling them collisions, because an accident insinuates that no one's at fault. And like, sorry, but you are 10 times more. I mean, this is obviously, don't hold me to this statistic, but in my personal opinion, you are 10 times more likely to be injured or maimed or dead from a motorcycle in South Florida, where no one knows what a turn signal is and running red lights is a fucking skill set, and than you are by having a copperhead in your house. You know? But I'm preaching to the choir, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it a million times. Like, if you do what you're supposed to be doing, like caps, double asterisks, all that, if you are doing what you were supposed to be doing, the danger is pretty minimal.
Right. Thank you, Sean. There's always someone at fault.
It's when, you know, you're showing off, you're being a moron, you're doing something stupid where you're not paying attention to what's happening. That's
I won't lie, man. I've been on camera a lot with Venomous, but I did that live thing yesterday with the pygmy that I set up, and I was terrified the whole video. I tried to make it silly, like a cooking show, like, you know, making hand gestures and shit and not talking, but I was terrified, not that I was going to get injured or that I was going to get bit or anything, but like that I would look bad, that this snake give me a run for my money, because it's my first time actually handling it, shy of me containering it in that water bottle, and that it was going to lash out, it was going to fly across the room, I'd have to go get it, you know, and it would make me look, not to sound like weird, but it would make me look bad. And that's what we don't need. We need to look good. So I'm glad that the video went according to plan, but I was super hesitant to do live because it's live, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but anytime I was doing anything with venomous, as far as the Aatrox and stuff go, like my phone was on silent or just wasn't even in my pocket. Like literally no distractions. I didn't want that half a second. Oh, I feel my phone vibrating and I'm not paying attention to what's going on. And like I said, maybe I take it to the extreme, but I also feel like it kind of has to be. Like if you're doing it right, there's small stuff. It can't happen if you don't allow it.
I am very, very focused when I do that stuff, and I like to have some background music. I love Baroque. I love romantic music. So, like, I'll put on, like, Chopin's Nocturne in G or, like, something like that in the background. I'll put some Dvorak on, and I'll just do my snakes with that. But, like, I can't have a podcast because I'm trying to listen to...
Right, you're focusing on that. Yeah.
Right. I'm not focusing on that. And like when I had the room at Strictly, there used to be a classical radio station that was like public radio in South Florida, and they lost all their funding because it was public and nobody wants to listen to classical music anymore. And I used to have that on in the room, and that was just like this good melodic, keeping the beat, And I had a couple of close calls at Strictly because the containment was not safe at all. The way that we had our animals was not safe in the least capacity, and that's where I learned a lot of technique from, was having to work under adverse conditions. And because of the close calls is why I take so many breaks when I do venomous. And you can ask anyone who's ever apprenticed underneath me, I force them to take a cigarette break, whether you smoke or not. You take a cigarette break because you get into a rhythm. You do one snake and another snake and another snake, and then wham, an accident happens. So
it's like driving at night, naturally with lights and the reflectors in that constant pattern, your brain does get into this sort of like trance-ish sort of state, and it's like that's a scientific fact. It's same thing. If there's a repetition and there's something like that in the background, it's very easy to drift. Mentally.
Yep. But just to go back to what I was telling Dan earlier, I want to move most of my harmless stuff into the hot room, but I got to figure out. I've been procrastinating playing Tetris in that room, moving cages around and racks, and I mean I've got some Home Depot shelving in there, and it's mostly vision cages, and I want to reorganize it. I want to make it presentable. You know what I mean? And I've just been procrastinating it. I think I need to do that first, and then I can have this side of the room is all venomous, and then this one little nook is the harmless stuff. And that way I know that I'm not putting my hand where I'm not supposed to be putting it.
Right. Because, that's something like that. Didn't that happen to Denise at the Discovery Center?
I don't know.
She, I don't know. I think it was the Venom interviews, actually. They were talking about it. They had a milk snake in their room in one of the tubs. Someone had moved it and didn't tell them because they had like a marker system where if it was green, it was something non-venomous. And she opened up a tub thinking that the milk snake was in there and grabbed a Mujinai and got bit.
So, two things with that. One, I would kill that person that moved that animal. And two, they don't look anything alike.
Well, I think she was under the impression that it was in there, didn't even look, said this is where this milk snake's always been in here, whatever.
Oh, it's like under substrate or whatever.
Something.
Okay.
Like that tub had always had a milk snake in it, and so when she went to go grab it, she just reached in, grabbed a Mujinai instead, and
that's bad news bears.
I'd be pretty pissed too.
Did she lose anything from it or no?
I don't think so.
Good. I was looking at Venom Life Gear and I want to support them. I do. I plan on buying some shirts and stuff. Probably not hooks because I have so many friggin' hooks. But I actually bought David Hodgstadt one of their neonate hooks for his birthday.
Yep. I've got one of those.
Yeah. And I bought it from Jay. He has the whole Get Hooked display in his store. And I was, testing the flex and twisting them and, testing it out with my hand, and I like to think that at this point in my life, I know what a good hook is, and their hooks are tip top, man, tip top. But I almost bought it, and I didn't. They have that rack puller, the drawer puller.
Yeah.
So that thing is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But I didn't buy it, and you know why?
Why?
Because I have most of my drawers are smooth. I have almost all sea serpent stuff, and I use a hook and I just drag it out with a hook, and that is my thing I've been doing for all these years. Well, I have 2 or 3 drawers that are really sticky, so I use 2 hooks, right? One here, one. And I know that if I personally got that drawer puller, now I am either going to forget to put a hook in my dominant hand, and God forbid something flies out, or I'm not going to use it properly, and now I have limited myself. So to me, I would rather use 2 hooks. That way I have 2 hooks, opposed to having just the drawer puller and possibly nothing in this hand. So that was me personally thinking outside the box like that of, well, crap, man, this canebrake rattlesnake flies out of that drawer every chance it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm not paying attention. I do a drawer with the puller and I'm good. I do a drawer with the puller, I'm good. And I get to the bottom one and I pull it open and that canebrake flies out and I'm wearing flip-flops, I'm screwed. So I'd rather have the 2 hooks, in my opinion, than the puller. But that's not to say that puller isn't good for someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's like a muscle memory thing too. Like if it ain't broke, there's no need to fix it. And if you're used to a certain way of doing things, changing it up could mean something happens. You know?
Right. And I'll tell you what, though, I think that in my personal opinion, the drawer puller or whatever it's called, forgive me for not using the proper nomenclature, I feel like that is actually great for a beginner because you can tell them you're not allowed to open the drawer unless you use the drawer puller. But then at the same time, that's going to build good technique in terms of remembering that and the muscle memory. But it's also restricting you because there may be or there will be a day when you don't have that drawer puller. And now what do? And now instead of learning the technique of turning the hook to the side or using 2 hooks or putting the hook at an angle and pulling laterally with 2 hands, these are things that people don't always teach or don't always know. And now all of a sudden you get in a scenario where you have to open the drawer, close the drawer appropriately, and you don't have your drawer puller. What are you going to do? You know how many people know that when you have a drawer that's stuck and it's cracked and the snake's head is out of the drawer and it's going like this trying to get you, how many people know to flip one hook around, apply pressure with the end of the hook pointing up, and then with the other hook end, push the snake back on its neck? So now I'm pushing the snake in and closing the drawer. I'm pushing the snake in and closing the drawer. I'm pushing the snake in and closing the drawer. That you can't do that with the drawer puller. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know. Part of me wonders again. Maybe I'm too analytical. Maybe that's one of my problems. I'm too analytical with the technique of it. Maybe I focus too much on the technique of it. And at the same time, how much of that technique is going to be applied in the national certification?
I don't think there's such a thing as being too analytical when it comes to venomous, man. I think it's one of those things where you need to think of all the potential scenarios of what could go wrong and have a plan for it.
I agree. So what's his name? Matt, who makes the labels? The really labels? What's his name? Matt?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I feel bad. Like 4 or 5 months ago, I messaged him. I was like, yo, I want to do venomous labels, but instead of having the ICUN red list on the bottom, which I fucking hate, I want to have the anti-venoms on there. And then I want to do pieces of Velcro on the back of it. So God forbid something happens, I
grab it and go.
Can just rip it off and go. So I actually, Henry's my anti-venom guru, and him and I talked about what stuff I keep and what anti-venoms I would need. And I got 2 different types for each one. God forbid they're out of stock or whatever. And I got to hit him up in the near future because I want to have those made, and start doing that on every cage, And then I'm probably gonna have to send him pictures because like purple maculatus, I have two of the same species, but they look completely different, you know, or squams. I have a red one. I have a yellow one. You know, do I get just one sticker? No, I get two. I get the red and the yellow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is like for the display stuff, the IUCN stuff is nice, but if it's just you and you're not like, you don't have people coming over and looking at your stuff, it's not on display. Something a little more practical like that makes a lot more sense.
Sure. So yeah, that is my goal. I plan on having that done.
Man, that'd be odd. Like, just if he ever expanded into like the locality stuff of like gray bands or anything else that's locality heavy, like that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, most definitely. Yep, most definitely. Well, he had with the Knobtails, he had Wheeler Eye, but he didn't have Cinctus.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually sent him a picture of my prize little baby girl Cinctus, and he used that for my label. And I thought that was cool.
He's good at what he does, man.
Mm-hmm. He is. He is.
I just got an order from him not that long ago for dart throw tanks.
Oh, nice.
So
I really liked what Cody and Pia had with barcodes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
QR codes.
Yeah.
So I actually downloaded a couple QR generators, and I don't like them the way that the apps that I got. I don't like the way they are. So I got to hit up Pia and find out what she used.
They use they have like a program. I don't know which one, but they have like a program on the computer that keeps track of everything in their collection.
Yeah. Well, I downloaded an app, which this was just a test for me. It's called Catalog It. That's the app. And they give you 100 items for free. And it's basically for someone that like collects art or collects antiques or whatever. You can take a picture of it. You can upload a picture of it. You can say, you know, where you bought it, how long ago you bought it, the date, blah, blah, blah. So I did it, and I started it, and I did it with those pygmies I just got. And it's cool, but I feel like you could do the same thing on like Notepad.
Yeah, and that's always been my thing with those sort of record keeping apps for animals and stuff. Is like, I always end up finding myself being like, man, I just need to write this down. Like, I don't want to open the app, have to wait for it to load, put it all in. Like,
so what
they're nice, but I come to find that I'm old school, man. I just pen and paper.
Yeah, I commend you for that. I can't do pen and paper on that stuff. I can write a lot on pen and paper, but that I gotta go to the room. But my whole thing is, I have my notes, right, of what I have, and I've given serial number because like right now I got 4 pygmies right now, so I have like pygmy 1, pygmy 2, pygmy 3, blah blah blah. But what I need to do is I want to do a little label with the QR code or whatever that has it, so I can mark it on each cage.
Right.
Right now, every cage says danger venomous reptile because that's the state law. And then it has the point value, the scientific name, the common name. And then if it's one of my pet stuff, I have an identifying photo. If it's for sale, I don't have a photo. And yeah, but I'd like to have that. I'd like to have that, you know, that thing on there that says which one is which.
Yeah, I don't know how. I'm sure they have an app that I know they have it on their computer, but I'm sure they also have it on their phone because that probably makes the QR code thing actually handy.
Nice, Dom. I didn't even know there was such a thing as snack log and time to feed. Yeah, Dom sent me this thing earlier. I didn't even have a chance to look at it because I was working so much today. But she sent me like this feeding chart graphs and stuff that she has.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I sent you those cards too, right? I sent you some of those, didn't I?
Yeah, no, I have that. That's tip top. Those are tip top. And I use them on the Iranjayas because they're pains in my ass. But this whole time to feed thing, I thought that was pretty cool. I gotta look at that later when I'm not doing live video with you.
I'm gonna use it for me. Time to feed.
Mm-hmm.
Time to eat.
It's been 14 hours, Justin. Time to eat something.
It's been 45 minutes.
I am refilling my beverage. Excuse me.
I used to work. I was helping with marketing of this app out of Australia called Track My Reptile, and I really liked it for a while. But I just, like I said, I come to find like I'm trying to clean snakes, and then I have my phone in my hand. I'm trying to like write down what I'm doing. It took a while to kind of load everything, and it just got to be clunky. And so I was like, you know what, pen and paper or an index card or something is just the way to go. You fill up a card, you take a picture of it, put it in a Google Drive or something, make a new one. Keep it simple. It is nifty because if you have an app, you can send it. Oh, yeah. Like that is nifty, being able to send and snakes information to someone else automatically. I usually either send them the card that I have on that animal or I just take pictures of it and send it to them.
What did I miss?
No.
Word. Up to your moms. So what else? There was more that we had to talk to. There was more that we had to talk about yesterday, and I forgot. I mean, I wanted to bring up that whole, accreditation stuff. There was something else that Brent said that I wanted to touch base on, but I'm sure I'll remember when we have him on. I don't remember. Something.
I don't know. I don't see anything in the text messages.
I don't remember. It may have been the group chat, which don't even try and look back through that.
Not after my rant this morning.
Yeah, that was okay, so the cream chat, as we call it, that's the only chat that I'm part of. Aside from like the one that's like on Facebook, that's like you, me, and Jake.
Yeah.
Garbage Fest. The cream chat is the only chat that I'm part of. So like the other chat that you were bitching about that will remain nameless, I'm not in that. So like I don't know what you guys are always like upset about, but it is thing to sit back and watch.
I don't know. I went back and looked and didn't see anything, but I don't know.
Fuck Facebook.
Anyone that has any of the chats that have just a ton of people that it's just constantly all day going, I usually mute it just because I don't want my phone. Like I remember when NPR chat is a good example. Like I had when I first joined that, like I realized real quick I had to mute it because all day long my phone was like zzz, 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 just because the conversation would start between like 10 people and it was like, oh my god, my phone. And muting that was kind of wise because it gets there's a lot of people in there. There's a lot of people talking at once. So
yeah.
And it seems like anytime I do go in there, I end up having to go back through like 70 messages to see what's going on because there's just so much happening in there all the time.
Yeah. And Carlos, you're right. This is nothing like Brews Room. For those of you who are watching, back in the day, when we had the venomous reptile classes at Underground Reptiles retail store, there was about 6 of us doing snake stuff. And then we had about 10 or 15 in total that afterward, Tuesday night after we did snakes, we would go to a local sports bar called Brews Room, which is a chain in South Florida. And they had like a patio dock that was like overlooking a lake. And we would all go and get food and drinks and talk about snakes and whatnot. And yes, Carlos, this is nothing like Brews Room. This is back a long time ago. This was before This is a long time ago, man. Wow. Sorry. Snapped out of it for a minute there. Tyler Nolan didn't even have a venomous license yet. He was at the table with us. You okay?
Oh, YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
I'm glad we talked about the whole free handling thing on that episode with Brent.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't get it, man. I have zero respect for any of those people.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't point a loaded gun at your face and
but
film
they
it.
are. You saw that, what's it called? The Lincoln Challenge or whatever? You saw that?
Mm-hmm.
So you know how they have like the water cooler challenge or like the running in place challenge or whatever the hell these challenges are on YouTube and Instagram and all this stuff. You seen this? No?
I've seen some of them, sure.
Okay, well they dumped the ice bucket. It was they did it for some kind of charity benefit.
Yeah.
Ice water. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Some fucking moron decides to do something called I guess it's a Lincoln Challenge, or maybe I'm saying it wrong, but he basically is in his car and he pulls up to his friends, pulls a pistol out and points it at them. And he's recording it on his cell phone, points a pistol at them, and then they go, oh, and then they pull their gun out. And he's like, oh, I would have got you. I would have got you. But then he starts doing it to strangers. And like he goes into like a Korean supermarket and like two Korean guys pull their pistols out and like, get the fuck out. And he's like, oh, I almost got you guys. I almost got you guys. Well, long story short, he kept doing it, and I guess his friend shot him in the face. So, yeah. That'll happen. Fucking humans.
Well, there's like that video that I posted of that kid holding the coral.
Yeah. Oh, the little kid?
You know, I know Cody and Paul piped up, and, you know, they were talking about how, you know, the free handlers on YouTube, you know, the kids see this and this is the reason they're doing it. I don't necessarily believe that it was necessarily YouTubers free handling that they saw and said, oh, a snake, I'm going to pick it up. I think it was just a kid being too curious and not knowing.
I agree. I don't think that kid watched some famous YouTube snake handler and was like, oh, look, that's a coral snake. I know to pick it up by the tail because then it won't be able to bite me. Like, that was not in that kid's mind at all. That video is horrifying to me. Like, I cannot watch that.
The first time I saw it, I was like,
yeah, that video is old. It's a couple years old. And the first time I saw it, I watched it just to see the outcome. But I can't watch that. I can't.
You knew the outcome. The first, like, 10 seconds, you're like, I already know what's happening here.
Yep, yeah. But, like, I've seen a lot of fucked up shit in my day. You know, dead bodies, blood, whatever. I got a stomach made of lead, okay? But I couldn't watch that kid get bit, man. I just couldn't. Yeah. I
mean, that coral was awfully patient.
Yeah, it was. It put up with a lot, and then it didn't. You know. What were we just talking about before the kid?
YouTubers?
No. Yeah, but there was something. Man, I had a thought, and now I lost it. This is the problem with live videos.
Pulling guns on random people?
No, it was after that.
Paul and Cody?
No. I don't remember. Oh, I remember now. Henry texted me. Thank you, Henry. Henry and I actually have had multiple conversations on the concept of the difference between free handling a snake, and we're speaking of venomous, obviously. The difference between free handling and what I call manual manipulation. Okay.
Yep, you've mentioned this.
So, for example, someone who takes their rhino viper out with their bare hands and starts parading it around and petting it on its back, and oh, my rhino viper loves me, blah 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 blah. That's free handling.
Yes.
But someone who uses a drag hook or uses their bare hand to pull out a 15-foot retic and now is guiding that animal with their hands because they have to. And I use retic. I don't say king cobra. I use retic. Because now they've developed that technique. They've developed that skill set. And now they're manually manipulating the animal into doing what they needed to do. Right? Now, have I manually manipulated cobras? Absolutely. Why? Because I had to abandon my hook. And now I have a protocol where I have multiple hooks in multiple positions so that if I have to ditch the bitch, I can literally go like this behind me and I know exactly where that hook is, grab it, and now I'm back in business. And I learned that the hard way. There's been times when, whether it be mambas or taipans or whatever, and I had to get hands-on and I had to whip the snake out, or I had to pick the snake up and do treadmill with a forest cobra and pray to God that it doesn't swing around and bite me in the face. Shit happens and you act accordingly. But there's a difference between free handling and manual manipulation. Or as Henry has just put on there, Wolfgang Wooster always says, free handling versus skilled handling. That's the difference.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, in instances, like there's a very big difference between tailing something because you have to adjust or whatever, and just blatantly like pulling out a cobra and moving it around like it's a fucking carpet python.
Well, all right, and I've told you, I have pictures of me holding cobras up in the air. Absolutely. Carlos took those pictures. Would I do that now? It depends on the cobra. Probably not. I don't. The point of doing it was to take cool pictures, but it wasn't because we were going to post them on Instagram and get famous. It was because we thought it was cool. But at no point did I ever have the animal facing me. At no point did I ever have the animal up in the air where I'm moving my head trying to get it to hood up. At no point did I ever play with the animal like it was a freaking carpet python, like you just said. It was stationary and it was distracted by other individuals. And that's what we did. But I don't even consider that free handling because it was literally picking the snake up, look at the snake, okay, put it back down. That was it. We weren't sitting there with it in our lap playing with it like these guys are. It's crazy. It's just crazy to me.
Did you, I'm sure I've asked you this before, but did you ever meet David Weathers?
Oh, yeah. So I personally, I'm going to get wet with the sprinklers. So I personally did not like David Weathers at all. Can you hear me okay, or is that too loud, the sprinkler?
Give it a second.
Okay.
Here you go. You good?
Okay. You can hear me all right? It's not annoying?
Yeah.
Okay. So I hated David Weathers. I thought he was a bad influence. I thought that he was a jerk, blah, 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 blah. I never met the guy. And then I was working at Strictly, and I came into the venomous room for my shift, and he was already in there taking stuff out. And I was like, excuse me, can I help you? And he was like, oh, hey, I'm David. What's up? I'm like, shook my hand. And then we got to talking. And I realized that, I haven't spoken to him in years, but we got to talking and I realized that he's a great guy and he knows a lot, man. And his reputation as being the showman is obviously to get money and some kind of fame and whatever else. But the dude really knows how to handle animals. And when he wasn't on stage, so to speak, he did everything by the book. The guy knew how to take care of stuff. The guy knew how to handle stuff. And he developed those techniques appropriately. Now, don't get me wrong. He had some accidents. He slipped up. He got bit by that monocled cobra in the belly. That was a freak accident. And, yeah, it could have been avoided had he used maybe some hooks or tools or something. But, hey, hindsight's 20/20. So do I shame him for being a free handler? Nowhere near as much as I would these new guys on Instagram and these new guys on YouTube. Because when it comes down to brass tacks, the David Weathers that we saw in the public eye was but a small fraction of the really great herper and handler that he was, or is, excuse me. I talk about him like his dad, he's still alive. So I feel lucky that I got to know the real David Weathers and his ability to handle animals. And then I feel bad that other people don't get to see that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but at the same time, like if that's all you're giving people, you're sort of asking to get shit talked.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Just like, bar check or whatever. If that's all we're getting on a regular basis,
you're right.
We have nothing else to go on.
Right.
So
right.
Don't be surprised when people start ripping you apart because that's all you're showing us.
Yep. I agree.
You ever meet Ray Hunter? I saw him at Daytona when we were there, but I didn't actually talk to him or anything.
Yeah, I've known Ray Hunter a long time. He doesn't know me, and I kind of like it like that. He's an interesting character, and
he was on what was it, man? One of the old podcasts, like pre-NPR.
Right.
God, this was like 2006. I tried to look up the episode, but he was on an episode with Larry and BT on whatever radio show, podcast that was, and I called in. I wish I could find it because I must have been like, I don't know, 14 or 15.
Right.
And I had asked him about free handlers, which was kind of ironic now that I think about it, because like every picture of him on the internet is him free handling cobras.
Yep.
I remember when he almost got killed by a freaking Eastern, man. He got bit by a decent sized Eastern and
been bit by a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I remember there was a famous picture that's no longer around of him free handling a juvenile black mamba. And
I think I remember that one.
He basically has it like this in his face, like this, and it's coming at the camera. And no one knows this, but he wound up taking it down because of the ridicule. But that snake was dead. It was frozen. Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing that one and being like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But he also had that like crazy black Ceratophora.
He did.
You remember that thing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Freaking like acid yellow eyes. That thing was.
Yeah. That was 2009.
It was before that.
Before that?
It was long before that because I graduated in 2009. I think I called in. He was on that radio show in like 2006.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we used to get Ceratophora straight out of Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
Good times, man. And Desai, too. Ooh, Desai. So many good Mount Kenyans.
Yeah, those things are wild looking, man.
Yeah.
That whole genus is awesome.
Awesome. Awesome.
I'd have them all.
You should.
Every single one of them, I'd have them.
You should. You should get one of every species. One of every species.
I have nowhere to put venomous now and no money to do it.
Preaching the choir, pal. I'm breaking into savings for that rattlesnake.
You could have gotten those Nishii and you didn't. I'm very disappointed in you, Phil.
I know. But my priorities were elsewhere. So.
Just trying to live vicariously through you.
I know. Don't worry. The next time I go up to Colombia, I'll buy you a pair for $80 a piece.
They're not that cheap, are they?
I don't know. That's how much they were the last time I was in Colombia.
I think the last time I saw them in Colombia, they were a couple $100 a piece.
Well, it's probably been 10 years since I've been to Colombia.
I don't think they're as easy to get as they once were, my friend.
Oh, I believe that. I'll never forget. I went with Jay Eaton to a Columbia show. Actually, it was the last one I went to, which was probably about 10 years ago. And we had wild caught Nishii. I think we were selling them for like $1.25, and somebody else had them for like $150. And then another vendor went and bought out all those other guys' stuff for like all of his Nishii, brought it to his table, redelied them with his stickers, and was selling them for $75 a piece. I thought that was hilarious. Fucking Columbia.
Old Columbia.
Mm-hmm. Columbia was the first time I ever tasted King Cobra malt liquor, and I will never do that ever again. It was absolutely heinous. Horrible.
It's made with real King Cobra.
So I'm told. So I'm told. No, Carlos, I don't remember that. You're saying that Weathers got bit by a cantil at Daytona?
He did, yeah. He got bit by an Eastern Diamondback, and then not long after that, I mean, within like maybe the same year or two, he got bit by a cantil, if I'm not mistaken. It was one way or the other. It was either he got bit by the Eastern first or he got bit by the cantil first, but he had like 2 bites, almost. It seemed almost back to back. But I don't remember.
Speaking of Ray Hunter, Underground got a bunch of Hagenai in, Tremorsaurus Hagenai. And
oh yeah, he got tagged by one of those at one point too, didn't he?
yeah, and I was actually talking to Henry about how both of us really like the Hagenai, but we won't buy them because we just know so many people that have been bit by them. It's like a curse.
They're cursed.
Yeah, and I really think that it's because people underestimate them dramatically. I think that they treat them as if they're a normal Tremorsaurus, like an Abolabris or Steginogeri or a Pope's.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not. They act like Habus, man. They sit there all coiled up, all pretty like a chondro, and then you open the drawer and you go to give them their rat, and they look at you and they fly out like a bat out of hell. And I think they act like Habus, and they're probably in the wrong genus.
Yeah.
Is your better half summoning you?
Yes.
Is it the witching hour?
Huh? It is.
It is?
Yep.
Okay.
Tell him not to sound so upset.
What'd she say?
He can hear you. You're going to let the dog out, Baha Men.
Socially awkward?
Worst joke teller.
Who?
If I didn't like you.
That's what you do. Yeah, Henry. Well, clearly it didn't do its job.
Burn.
Job.
Burn.
I'm sorry. I have like absolutely zero empathy or anything towards that kid, man. He deserves every little bit of what he's got coming to him.
The video you posted?
No, what video?
The kid getting.
No, this is another Goku-looking douchebag over in Thailand.
Johnny Bravo.
He looks like the love child of Johnny Bravo, Justin Bieber.
He does. He literally does. Verbatim.
Okay.
And he handles a bunch of stuff that's going to kill him quick.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Don't do this, guys. I'm a professional."
Your child is waiting on you.
Okay. Good Lord.
We've been talking for 2 hours.
Bye. It's time for me to go.
Happy wife, happy life.
I got to take my dog out first.
Well, thank you for another riveting episode of Steaks.
Sir Archibald.
Sir Archibald.
Archie.
To be continued. As always.
Yep. Everyone, have a great evening.
Thank you for chiming in on our show on a Monday night and not watching Joe's.
I think his is over now. Everyone left his and came to ours.
Oh, okay. That's all right. I'm going to listen to it tomorrow morning anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I like I said, Rob's an awesome guy. So very anxious to hear that one.
Yeah. Well, good night, Moon.
Everyone have a grand evening.
Stay safe and don't free handle venomous reptiles.
That's right.
Bye.
Don't be a nutless wonder.
10 fingers, 10 toes.
And a heartbeat. And a pulse.
The pulse. And 4 limbs. Or in the case of Justin, 5.